All right, everyone, welcome to episode number, I think this is episode number 5 of the Champions of Small Business podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Anderson, and I am joined today by Matt Lane. Matt has a supplement company called House of Gains, located right here in central Pennsylvania. Super cool to have a company like yours and someone like you just in our area, man. I took like 15 minutes before you came over here today to kind of do a little bit of research on you, and I'm impressed.
Thank you.
I'm impressed with everything that you do, man. I said it right before we started here, but you get it.
Yeah.
You get it, man. Like you're exactly the kind of person that I want to have on this show. You have so much personality and drive, and I could just see you kind of bubbling with it, man. So I know you're gonna have some good stuff to share. So, thanks for being with me today, man. I appreciate you made a decent little drive up here to do this. So I greatly appreciate it, man. So, let's kick it off.
Cool.
Tell me, who is Matt Lane? Like, where'd you grow up? How'd you get started? Like, what made you take the leap into something like starting a supplement company?
Well, my wife and my employees and all my friends would definitely agree when you say that I have a lot of personality.
Oh, yeah.
That's definitely an attribute that if you were going to be like, oh, what can you say about Matt? He's got a lot of personality behind him. So I am a York County native, born and raised. Tried moving away before, ran away to North Carolina for a couple months and moved back. I love it here. Like, I don't care what people say about York, Harrisburg, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is a great place to live.
Yeah, man.
There's so much potential here. There's so much opportunity. It's where I grew up, so obviously it's where all my friends and family are from. Cost of living's phenomenal. And so I grew up in East York, went to suburban, had a pretty chaotic childhood. And I mean, that's not really relevant to why I started House of Gains, but it is relevant to how I led into that. I got into, let's just say, recreational activities at a very young age.
Yeah, I'm reading through.
Right.
I'm reading between the lines there.
We'll keep it family friendly. But I mean, you see it a lot nowadays. I mean, you go anywhere and you'll find that stuff. It's tragic, but fortunately, through those trials and tribulations, I did some things that I'm not necessarily proud of. But in that, I was always I wouldn't say athletically inclined, but as a kid, like, I was the kid that could never sit still. Like, public school, I always got in trouble. I was the not necessarily hyperactive kid, but I was always, like, getting into stuff.
Yeah.
And that led me, pretty much through my whole life. And then as I got older, into my late teens, early 20s, I was really into sports as a kid. Wrestling from age 7, I think, is when I started doing that. Because it was combat. We didn't have money. So I really wanted to play hockey, but
that's an expensive sport.
It's an expensive sport. And it's not a school sport.
Yeah.
So the people at school were like, put him in wrestling.
Yeah.
Because it's something that we can put this hard-headed kid with a lot of energy into something. And that and soccer. But soccer, I can't run without looking down, like, at the ball. Like, I was never, like, I'm not coordinated.
You're right.
At all. So I got into wrestling. I tried football. I'm not tall. I'm not fast, and I can't remember stuff.
Yeah.
So the football never really worked out either. And then when I got into wrestling in high school, I went to the weight room for the first time. And I realized that I was significantly stronger than everybody else, even though I was really small at that point in time. And I was like, wow, I really like this, like, lifting weights thing. And then when high school ended, I bounced around. Like I said, I went to North Carolina, got into some trouble. And then when a few years later, when I was about 22 years old, I had gotten a job at a restaurant, waiting tables. And I was talking to this girl, and I was like, I really want to just, like, get a gym membership. And she was telling me that she worked at this place in East York called Strictly Fitness. And I was like, cool. I went there, started just, got a job, or I just got a gym membership, started working out there. Ran into two guys that were heading this like personal training business, and asked them for a job. I was just like, I kind of want to see like if I could do this, like, because I really enjoy working out. I don't like taking orders from anybody, and that includes people telling me what to do, and also people telling me what you want to eat.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really like having
you
people
didn't like physically taking orders like you were at the restaurant.
I didn't want to take orders from somebody telling me what to do, and I didn't want to listen to what you know what I mean, that you needed 2 extra sides of ranch or whatever it was. So I got into that, and guy taught me sales. I got a client list.
Nice.
The company that I was working for then folded, and I basically got the opportunity to work for myself. And I mean, I can go into that if you want me to just keep jumping.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, let's just let the conversation roll, man. Yeah, right, tell me. I want to hear the whole thing. I got so many points that I want to come back to now too. But
awesome. I'm one of those guys that if you let me roll, I won't stop.
Keep on going.
I won't stop for hours.
Do it. Do your thing.
So I started personal training. You know what I mean, grew my client list, and that's when I kind of was like, all right, well, I think I could do this. Like, but I was always told, my mom is from East Germany.
Okay.
So like my grandfather always told me, you don't like quit a job without something else lined up.
Yeah.
Like if you work, you don't just walk away from a job unless you have something else lined up.
Right.
And that's always sort of lived with me. Work ethic has.
Yeah, I was gonna say is your mom she's a first? Is that first generation?
She was born in Berlin, technically.
Okay,
I believe so. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, so she's a direct transplant.
I'm first generation.
You're first generation. Okay.
My mom, and my 2 grandparents who are now deceased. My mom's still alive. Then they left East Germany into Berlin, and then they left Berlin to Canada. Both my aunts were born, I believe, in Montreal, and then they moved from Montreal to Boston, and then from Boston here to York.
Nice.
And then they obviously stayed here forever
until
after that.
Yeah.
So I was taught, it's one thing that I'd never really understood about not a lot, but a lot of American kids I didn't, and I love America, like I am an American through and through.
Right.
But a lot of the work ethic doesn't really jive with me.
Yeah.
Like the whole thought process of like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
To me, I wake up and like it's all I think about.
Yep.
Is how I can work and how I can be industrious. I got a job at this gym, and I mean things started to progress. I was still bartending, pretty much like I got it to the point where I had like 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, where I'd have like 2 clients in the morning, 3 clients in the evening. It was just enough to pay the bills. And then I would bartend pretty much every day. So if I was training 2 days a week, I was bartending 5 days a week. And then if I was training 3 days a week, I was bartending 4 days a week.
Right.
Until I basically got it to a point where I was training Monday through Friday, and I was bartending Friday and Saturday, or Saturday and Sunday. And then I finally just cut it down to Sundays. And I would, at one point in time, because I'm always trying to figure out what's the next thing.
Right.
So then I got into, at that point in time, I was like, well, training it's good. It's good money if you know how to sell.
Sure.
If you know how to get clients, if you know how to retain clients too.
Yeah.
But the difficult part is you're completely independent. You've got no, like, because I was basically just paying rent at this gym, and you don't have health insurance. You were
doing like the 1099 independent contractor thing?
Well, I was just paying them rent. So I worked out an agreement where I wasn't paying them a portion. I wasn't working for them. Like they weren't feeding me clients. I was essentially just renting a desk on a gym floor.
Right. Okay.
And I paid like, I think it was like $300 or $400 to rent the desk. And he was like, do whatever you want. Because he was an older guy.
Sure.
The gym was on its way out the door anyway. And he was just like, I don't really care, dude. Do whatever you want. And I was like, okay. Like, I'll give you a check every month.
Yeah.
And then I was able to have free reign, do my own branding. I think I called it Never Give Up Personal Training in the beginning. And I decided I was going to go to school for physical therapy. I wanted to be a doctor.
Nice.
It was like a big dream of mine.
Yeah.
Started going to school at Hack. So basically I would do my you know what I mean, 8, 9 a.m. clients. I would have a break for lunch. I would go to hack from like 11 to like 2 or 3, come back at 4, work from 4 to 8.
More clients after that.
And then then go home, do my homework or whatever it was. And that was pretty much my life there for a little while. And around 2017 or 2016, I went through a pretty bad breakup, and I just kind of was just like, I don't really know what I want to do like with my life. I thought that I had like everything sort of mapped out, and I was going to keep going training, finish going to school, become a doctor, get this really good paying job with all these benefits. But you know what I mean, life had a little bit different of a plan for me. And after that, I was just like, you know what, like so I'll get into essentially how I started the supplement stuff. When you're a trainer, you are always recommending products for people.
Sure.
And I would write down a list for my clients and be like, here, go to online or go to Vitamin Shop, go to GNC, and buy these specific products. This is what I want you to take this time today, whatever. And then they would come back with different stuff. And I'd be like, this isn't what I told you.
Yeah. Like I know what's right for you. Just go get the thing that I said is right for you.
But what would happen is they were going, and then the salesperson would get a hold of them. And they'd be like, no, what you need is this. And I was like, all right, so my customers are getting grifted, or my clients are getting grifted. And then I'm like not getting commission off this either.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm recommending products for somebody else to get commission.
Yeah.
And I was like, this doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
So then I started looking into like wholesaling other people's stuff. And the startups were kind of big because I didn't have like a brick and mortar location. A lot of companies wouldn't sell to me.
They didn't want to mess with you. You were too small.
Yeah, I was too small. And the inventories were going to be too much to handle.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Like, if I'm going to go all in on this branding thing, why don't I just do it myself? So then I started looking into, you know what I mean, how to make my own products.
Yeah.
And I met with a friend of mine. His mom was in QC her whole life in manufacturing. And I was like, hey, if I give you like, you know what I mean, a roundabout what I want, could we make this happen? And she's like, yeah. So we bought out, there used to be a company in New York called Powder City.
Okay.
Now they have since been gone for a while, but I went on PCI auctions and bought all of their old equipment.
Nice.
Well, most of their old equipment.
Yeah.
And we built out like a small lab and started literally making our own product. I mean, it's not. I researched it, and I was like, this isn't as difficult as I thought it would be.
Sure.
As far as that goes, it's really it's like baking a cake.
Yeah.
You have flour, baking soda,
right.
Flavoring.
You just measure everything out.
You just measure it all out.
Put it all together.
Put it in a tumbler.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah.
And you just package it. And our first, I'll have to send you a picture of like our original logo. It was unbelievably ghetto.
Yeah.
And like I say that because like it was ghetto. Like I had a friend of mine who does tattoos for a living, and he was my client, and I was just like, yo, can you draw me like a logo for this? And I wanted the company to be called House of Gains, and it has like this real like visceral feeling to it.
Yeah, for sure.
So he drew like this graffiti house, and it said House of Gains.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would picture as.
Yeah, it was like this house with graffiti all over it, and it said House of Gains, and it had this big veiny bicep.
Yeah, yeah.
And then on the bicep was like a chain that has, it's actually this chain that I have tattooed on my neck. So he's like, you got this chain tattooed on you, so we'll put it in the logo.
Yeah, as like a little nod to you.
Yeah, like I said before, like all the little like nuances and stuff. There's little hints.
Yeah.
And if you ever seen like the Run the Jewels logo, it's a band with Killer Mike and LP, rap super group.
Yep.
It has like the finger guns in it.
Yeah.
So it had like that whole vibe, and it said House of Gains underneath.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, at first, and they were in these bags, and it tasted horrible because I really didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then that's how we started. And it and then it just sort of grew. Like I think because I jumped all in it. I decided to drop out of school. Like right then, I was like, you know what? I think I was 27 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, as long as my brain still works, I was like, I can always go back to school.
Right.
And I mean, I can do it almost at any point in time in my life. People do it all the time. They go back to school when they're 50.
Yeah.
So I was like, but a company like this, I'm not gonna be able to come back to in 10 years.
Yep.
Because if I have kids, if I have stuff going on.
Sure.
Also, like, as you get older, people, you're in my industry, like, looks are a lot and youth is a lot. Like,
yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm just going to do it now.
Yeah.
So I dropped out of school. Everybody was like, are you nuts? And I'm just like, yeah, I am.
Yes, that's exactly right.
I'm totally insane. And
Yeah.
like, I think this is a good idea. And I honestly didn't even really expect it to work.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm just going to try it.
Sure.
And
See what happens.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, like, what's the worst thing that can happen? In this country, you could fail 1,000 times over and you can still start back at zero. You're fine.
Yeah. Yeah, no matter what age you're at, you got a lot of hammer blows left, even if you're in your 50s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't really matter. It sounds like that's very much kind of from what I'm picking up, kind of like your MO is, you're like, sorry for the language, but just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Right? Just get in there and do it. Right? It sounds like everything you did, like you were like, oh, you know, I want to try school now. Let me just hop in. You know, I want to be a doctor. I want to be you said physical therapist. Let me just jump in and feet first and figure this thing out.
Yeah.
From the inside out. Like, you didn't overthink it. You know, you never got stuck in that, like, should I do this? Should I not do it?
Yeah.
If the stars kind of aligned and, you know, you had a short pro and con column, you're like, well, there's enough pros there. Let's go. You know, it's, yeah, we have a very similar, it sounds like, I mean, everything that you've just talked about, man, we had a very similar upbringing, very similar childhood, early adulthood, working for other people, serving tables, doing all of this stuff. And it's funny the consistencies that I see between people who start their own businesses.
Right.
They're all,
it's like a formula.
We're all wired a little bit differently, right? Like, there's something undiagnosed in a lot of us. I think, you know,
there's definitely some like spectrum level stuff.
100%. There's
in
something
our brains that like would allow us to. Well, I look at when you say like, just do it. Like, when people like us, I think a lot of the times have, I don't want to say impulse issues, but like, we look at it, we're just like, just do it. Like, what's the worst that could happen? And again, like, the worst that could happen is you fail.
Yeah.
And like, then you learn stuff. I mean, I can only imagine in your business how many times you've lost money trying something that was like
more times than I can count.
That you thought was a good idea. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, there's 12 grand and it's gone. Like,
dude, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
I had to unfortunately get used to essentially gambling money, you know, on marketing opportunities or, you know, we wanted to do a big direct mail campaign, cost me $27,000. Not a single person called us,
oh, God.
You know, like that kind of shit. It sucks, but yeah, that's what business is.
Yeah.
You know,
I look at it as it's almost like if you get into the stock market, it's borderline degenerate.
Yeah.
Like, where you're like, this is like the stock market, owning your own business. Like, you're like a hair's away from it being degenerate gambling.
Yep.
But it's like informed.
Yeah.
So like, I know, like, if I buy Coca-Cola at $59.85, which I did this morning, like, I know
it's a great stock.
Yeah, I buy it all the time. It's one of those ones every time it drops 5%, I buy more.
Yeah.
And this is not financial advice for anybody, but definitely do it. But it's like informed. Like, so when you own your own business and you do a direct mail campaign, and it doesn't work out, you're like, oh, I'm never going to do that again.
Yeah.
So it's like informed gambling, whereas opposed to like, if you keep betting on the Dolphins and the Dolphins keep losing.
Yeah.
I don't know sports at all. I don't watch sports, but like, you keep betting on the Dolphins and they keep losing. You never really like learn anything from it. You're like, dude, why don't you bet on the people playing the Dolphins this time?
Exactly.
Like, if they keep losing, like, just bet on the opposite. And that's
now in business, you're betting on yourself.
Oh, all the time.
Right. Instead of betting on sports where you're, you know, whoever is the wide receiver drops a ball, you can't control that outcome. But business is an outcome that you can control.
Yeah.
You know, but you have to kind of, I think it's good to frame it as like, this is kind of a gamble. Yeah. But ultimately, you control the gamble.
I at least control the input.
Yes.
So like in my situation, like now, fortunately, for me, well, fortunately, unfortunately, I am like a workaholic. I love working. It's one of my favorite things to do. And some people be like, "Oh, it's bad," but in the sense of owning my own business, it's great because I know that like if I have an idea and I put everything into it, I'm probably going to get a good outcome.
Right.
But if I bet on another company, I don't know their board of directors. I don't know what like all their internals are, and I don't have time to look at that stuff because we have such a short time to live. I mean, the average American lives to be like 75 years old. I'm already almost halfway there. So like I'm 2 years away.
Don't remind me, man.
I know it sucks, dude.
Depressed, right?
Time only moves
now.
forward. But I'm like, I'm already almost halfway there. I don't have time to go sit down and like read all these reports and stuff like that. I was like, I know one thing. I know it well. I'm just gonna jump in and do my best. And at this point in time, like it's working out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when I bet on myself, I at least I have some of the variables controlled.
Right.
Then.
Yeah, I shouldn't say it's all under your control, but you can control a lot more variables, than a football game or betting the stock market. And I think that's a really interesting way to kind of look at business. Hopefully somebody hears that and can gain something from that, because I think I did.
Yeah.
What'd you do like when you had to like start up? So like kind of bring it back to where you were. You went to this company and bought up all their stuff. How much, like, if you don't mind me asking, like, how much did you have to like sink into this thing to like get it going?
Honestly, not that much.
No.
I did
That's
it
good,
so. I mean, it's a lot and it's not a lot at the same time. Considering what I spend now, it's pennies.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
But like back then, it was everything. I think I did it obviously like I mean the lady that I was working with had done a lot of you know what I mean. She put up a decent amount to build out the space and stuff like that too. But a couple $1,000s.
Oh,
you know
that's
what
nice.
I mean? Like it was definitely under 10 grand. I think the first run of product probably around $1,000.
Yeah.
And I mean at the time like that was all I had.
Yeah.
And since then I've gone broke several times. Now when I say
too.
gone broke,
Yeah.
I mean like I've drained my company accounts.
Sure.
I always followed like I found Dave Ramsey when I was like 24.
Yeah.
So I've been very
Helped me get out of debt too.
Yeah. So Dave Ramsey, I've always followed that, like always keep your pad, like your 6-month fund, and then your emergency oh shit fund.
Yep.
Like I've always felt like that. I've always kept those bases. Now I've taken my company to the point, like when I opened my Lancaster store, I mean, I was paying the bills on credit cards.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, that was rough.
Yeah.
But like, I was paying them with company credit cards, not my personal.
Not personal credit cards anymore. That's nice.
Yeah, but I did also have to sign when you are. I mean, you probably know too. When you are a nobody and you sign like a lease, in my case, that was a 5 and 5.
Yeah.
That was I don't even remember how many hundreds of $1,000s they were like the total amount of the lease is worth, and they were like, you're on the hook for this.
You got to sign that PG.
That personal guarantee, man.
Guarantee,
and I was
baby.
like, oh my God. So if this fails, I owe you that much money. And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, that's more than I know I've ever seen in my life. And
Yeah.
they're just like, I had to put that personal guarantee up, which involves, I believe, like all my retirement accounts and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, they can come after me for
Yeah.
this. So that was not fun.
Yeah.
Definitely the Lancaster store. I mean, I ended up in the hospital, not because, I mean, prior to that, I was throwing up in my sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, my blood pressure was through the roof.
Yeah. Just the anxiety of like getting that store up and running.
Yeah. The anxiety getting that store up and running, man. Like I ended up with this massive skin infection.
Yeah.
I had to go get it lanced the night before the grand opening. It was like 12 o'clock at night, and I'm at Lancaster General getting a cyst. I don't know how I got it. I ended up having to go get it lanced. This is gross. But like I had to go to the hospital like the night before my grand opening and then be back there at 8 a.m.
Damn.
To finish like setting up and everything.
Yeah.
It was bad. The couple weeks before we opened, I mean, I was vomiting in my sleep. Like,
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that people don't see.
That's what they don't talk about, man.
No,
That's what they don't talk about.
Yeah.
You know, you walk by that store your store in Lancaster, it probably looks pretty unassuming. Someone's like, "Oh, it looks like a nice store."
Yeah.
You don't realize,
Yeah.
a man suffered.
I suffered
You
greatly.
suffered
It,
for
I
that
mean,
store.
it put my marriage on the rocks. Like
Yeah.
it put my physical health in like serious jeopardy.
Yeah.
I mean, when I went into the hospital that night, my blood pressure was like 187 over
Holy hell,
130 because I was just because I was in so much pain.
Yeah.
Now that was a skin issue, but it was direct result of
How many years ago was that?
that was last year.
Last year.
Yeah, so we'll go back. So when I decided to do the supplement thing, like I said, I was still working out of that gym. This would have been 2017. I mean, I started going everywhere. If you were going to give me a table, I don't care if I was at a job site, dude. If you said I could post up and talk to people about my product,
You were there.
I would fill my car with product and I would drive there with a table. My first promo was a church bazaar in Crayley Red Lion, like that Red Lion area, like down.
Yeah.
It's in the middle of a cornfield.
Yeah.
And those people, not to like take offense, but like that area is not like,
Yeah. It was.
it's not keen towards.
I was
like,
gonna say it's probably not a lot of people that would be users of your product.
no
In that area.
So like
Or
I went
purchasers.
to I went to this church bazaar and it was in a basement.
They're all like, "What the
And
hell
they're
is this
like,
guy doing
what
here?"
is this guy here? And I had these bags with these ghetto logos on it.
Yeah.
I ended up selling some product to people. They were just like,
See?
you can buy some protein and some
you go.
pre-workout. I was like, all right, cool, let's go. But like I did every single event you could possibly think of. If you told me at Wednesday at 7 a.m. I could be at your gym, posted up with a table, talking to customers, I'd be there.
Nice.
Like if you told me I could, I mean, I get memories all the time of like being at this retro fitness in Easton, Pennsylvania, which is up in Allentown.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was down in like this other gym in like 2 days later in Timonium. And then I was at another one
So
in
you were covering
Harrisburg.
some miles, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you told me, I would just call gyms. I would talk to friends of mine that I had on Facebook and they would be like, this guy's a hustler.
Yeah.
Like if you allow him to put up a table at a customer appreciation day, he'll come and he'll hand out samples. He'll talk to your customers. He'll give them advice. And that's how I really grew that side of things because it was just, I was almost like a savage with it.
Yeah.
Like where if you told me anywhere, anytime, I'd be there.
Dude, what a story. That's like the true entrepreneurs, like, what do they call the hustle? Like come up story, right? Like you weren't spending money on advertisement. You were
I didn't know how.
You were using your feet to advertise, right? You were running to every gym, driving to every gym you could, and just organically spreading the word.
Well, I looked at it I call it guerrilla marketing.
Yeah, guerrilla marketing.
Because I have no formal education. No, I barely graduated high school.
Yeah, same.
Like I had to take summer school my senior year because I missed 80 days.
Yeah.
My senior year of high school. I was always very, like I said, I was the kid who couldn't sit still.
Yeah.
And I got into trouble a lot. And I loved reading. I loved math and science, like all these things. Like I always excelled academically, but I hate school.
Yeah.
And I enjoy learning,
Yeah.
but I hate formal education.
Sure.
And where was I going with that? Oh man, I just lost my train of thought.
You said you were a smart kid. You struggled through school, but
Oh yeah, because I have no formal education.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Like I took one business class at Hack, and it taught me writing, like business writing, like writing emails.
Yeah.
Which was beneficial to
Yeah,
a certain degree,
sure.
but like also like especially in my industry, like there's not really a lot of formal emailing going on.
Yeah.
It's a lot of like
People using email as text messages, essentially.
Yeah, so like I'm just like shooting an email, like, oh hey bud, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Cool, bye.
Yeah.
And so like in a sense of, I had no idea how to run social campaigns. I had no idea how to run direct email marketing. I had no idea how to do cold calls, which in my industry is ridiculous anyway. You would never do that.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to design anything. I never took any art classes. I didn't have money to pay for graphic design. I mean, like my logo was done by my boy who does tattoos.
Yeah.
And then our second logo was my wife's best friend's husband. Did my second logo. And then like he just did it like, you know what I mean, out of did it for a very good price.
Yeah, he was hooking you up.
Yeah, he did me really a solid favor. And so I didn't have the wherewithal or the money to do a lot of that stuff. So I was like, all right, well, what I do have is time. And I have the gift of gab, so I have ability to get people to like me. I mean, there's a lot of people that probably don't, but like I had the ability.
There's always going to be.
There's always going to be.
Yeah.
But I had the ability to get people to, I wanted to just get it in front of somebody.
Sure.
Because I was like, I'm not going to beat Amazon. I'm never going to beat like the GNC SEO, like conglomerate. One of my friends worked for GNC on their SEO team. And he was like, dude, we spend 10 grand a day.
Yeah.
You'll never beat us.
You can't compete with that.
Right. So and he was like, and that's just us. And that's just on one section. He was like, my friend works for a big company that's incredibly popular in the supplement space right now. He's like, we spend $100,000 a day on advertising. And I'm like, wait, whoa. That's a what?
Yeah.
Like you spend $100 grand a day? And he was like, a day. Now on the same note, they probably sell $40-50 million worth of product a month.
Sure.
So I was just like, I'm never going to compete with this. So I was the guy that would just show up. And that was what, you know what I mean, got me a lot of, you could call it street cred.
Yeah.
With a lot of like the gym rats in the area.
Knew you.
A lot of the gym owners, a lot of the trainers, because they would just be like, look at this dude, like he doesn't stop.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't. Like I'm just like I always like it's like that Philadelphia thing. I think when they were going to win the Super Bowl, it was like Hungry Dogs Run Faster. And they had all those dudes from Philly out wearing dog hats and stuff, running through the streets of Philadelphia, flipping cars. Like, but it was like that Hungry Dogs Run Faster.
Yeah, you were hungry.
Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't get up and do it, it wasn't going to happen.
No. And then the dream goes away.
Yeah.
So I was just like, if I want this, like I'm going to have to do it.
Yeah.
So I just took every opportunity. I just had a memory come up in my feed the other day. My wife and I, we were just dating at this point in time. She's a rider, dude. Like, I mean, she started seeing a guy that was, you know what I mean, broke as a personal trainer, trying to start a supplement company, driving to church bazaars and gyms all over the area.
Yeah.
But we did somebody recommended that I go to this, it was a wrestling match. And not like what I did in high school.
Yeah.
Like pro wrestling.
Yeah.
But it wasn't pro wrestling.
It was like
amateur local wrestling, dude, and
that's awesome.
So I thought, because I grew up watching Hulk Hogan, Sting, Goldberg, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, you know what I mean, the Rock Bottom and stuff. So I'm like, oh, these guys are like big juicy dudes, like they're like out there rough and tumble, tan, like and all that. And I get there and it is
not even remotely close.
Nope. It was the scariest thing. Like you walk in,
you're just packing your stuff up. You're like,
yeah.
Go now.
I brought stuff, dude, and we sat up at a table. And I always bring water to do samples and stuff. So I have all my products laid out, and we have a pitcher of water. It's clear. It's a clear pitcher with just water.
Yeah.
And I can probably count 5 or 6 people that walk by and they're like, "What's in the jug?" And I'm like, you never seen water before, man? Like, and they're
like,
all,
is that a jug of vodka?
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, no. Like, what do you? And it was at like a VF, like they rented out like a VFW or something like that. Dude, it was brutal. We didn't sell a single thing. We were there for like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, we have to leave because people were coming up. They had no idea what these products are. Everybody was like, I don't mean this derogatory, but like morbidly obese.
Yeah.
It was just like not the target demographic.
Sure.
It would be like if you guys were trying to sell roofs in Pakistan.
Right.
You'd be like, dude, there's nobody here going to buy a roof, man.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
we don't have buildings like that.
Yeah.
Like, so that was essentially how I did everything because I didn't know what else to do. So I just did what came naturally to me.
That's funny that you sold more product at the church function.
I did.
Than you did at the backyard wrestling.
Yeah, I think because I don't know if they felt bad because I know I've had a lot of people that they told me they're like, especially when we first started. Now we've since evolved. I have, you know what I mean, contract manufacturers. I go through. I have graphic designers that I have basically on payroll, and you know everything's evolved essentially. But like. I think some people were honest and they were like, honestly, if it wasn't you, I would never buy this.
that's where my mind went as you were talking. I was like, they were probably buying because they wanted to support you.
Yeah.
You know, they were like, I don't really take creatine, or I don't really take protein, but I'm gonna buy it simply because you're selling it.
Yeah, and a lot of people, like I had a guy when he like I had a lot of gyms, no stores picked up my line at all.
No.
In the beginning, no.
Okay.
Oh God, no. I mean, the retail presence just wasn't there.
Yeah.
I didn't have the right packaging. I really
Yeah.
didn't have the right margins, because when you don't buy it in large quantities, you can't get it at a price that a store is going to want to buy it.
Yeah, a store can't make margin on it too.
No.
Yeah.
So like I was mostly selling directly to gyms, and a lot of gyms were like, bro, honestly, I'm gonna pick this up because like you're a hustler.
Yeah.
And like I kind of want to see you win.
Yeah.
And I like it starts to like choke me up when I think about it, because I've had a lot of friends. They were like, I could buy this exact same product on Amazon, or I could buy it anywhere else, and I don't, because I want to see you win, because you have the drive, and I feel like it makes me, you know what I mean, emotional when I think about it, because I'm like, bro, you literally, like, you could just give your $40 to somebody else.
Sure, and it'd be easier.
Be easier for you.
Yeah,
And
it'll come
like,
shipped right to your doorstep. It'll come there in 2 days, free shipping.
But
right.
But they were like, I want to see two things. I want to see my homie win.
Yeah.
And I want to see your dream succeed.
Yeah.
Or see the dream succeed.
Yeah.
I also give them, I'm like, now my whole thing is I want to build, because I now have a much larger understanding of the industry. Mm-hmm. I have a much larger customer base. I'm significantly bigger than I was before, as far as like the size and scope and reach of my company. Now my goal is, all right, well, you've been supporting me for this long. Now I want to bring the culture.
Yeah.
So now I want to change the landscape of sports nutrition in this area.
Nice.
At least in central Pennsylvania. I'm not the guy that'll be like, I'm going to change the world with like this pre-workout. Like that, dude, I hate when people say that, because I get the projecting, like, because you want it to do that, but in reality, like, you're probably not.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
C4's got you beat.
Yeah,
like,
but if you look at central Pennsylvania, you can actually have an impact here. Mm-hmm. You know, and if you have $1 billion, you might be able to have an impact across the world.
Right.
But
I don't.
You don't. Yeah, you know, and that's what small business is, right? You don't have it, but you're going to do the best with what you got. And if the best is what you got is central Pennsylvania that wants to support you, then do it.
And I told him, like, and I had a customer the other day, I was just going through my message requests, and he messaged me because we had a big event at my Lancaster store just about 2 weeks ago. And I brought in two-time 212 Olympia winner Sean Clarita out. I mean, that's just he's like top of the industry. Like, and when people came, they were like, because we had Branch Warren out there last fall.
Nice.
And all these different guys, and they're just like, dude, like, you keep doing this. Like, every 6 months, it's like you're trying to, and I told him, like, every time you buy a pre-workout from me, every time you buy a vitamin from me or a shake or something, and I was like, I don't really care about fancy cars. I don't care about, like, any, like, big houses or anything like that.
Yeah, boats.
I bought a boat. There's the two best days in a boat owner's life is the day he buys it and the day he sells it. Like, right. I just keep telling people I will reinvest every dollar that comes in to make my store better, to make my products better, to make the customer experience better, to pay my employees more, and to keep bringing the culture to this area, because it is, like you said, I have at least a grasp on Central PA, and I feel like I actually can physically change the dynamic and the landscape of sports nutrition and fitness in this area.
Right.
Whether I can expand it outside of that, my 10-year timeline, my 5 to 10 year timeline, that's my goal.
Nice.
And he was just like, what he said to me essentially was, he's like, when you said that to me, because he's young, he was like 17 years old. He's like, I could feel that you meant it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
I can feel it sitting over here. I'm like,
yeah, because I don't have any other hobbies.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, like, people ask me the other day, like, what are your hobbies? And I'm like,
work.
I really like motorcycles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I do, that's my one vice is motorcycles.
Yeah.
And, like, I like stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't go to concerts or anything like that. I don't drink or do drugs. So, like, those are all horrible for me. But I enjoy what I do, and I enjoy the fitness culture. So I was like, that's all I'm going to do, man. I'm just going to keep trying to bring it, and bring what everybody, I tell people, I'm like, I'm trying to bring like what you see on Instagram to this area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the cool stuff that you see like in all the fitness commercials. I'm like, we could do that here.
Yeah, and that's what I see you doing. The way I watched a lot of your social media leading up to this, and that's what you remind me of a lot. I'm like, you remind me of a big brand account, and I'm like, I can't believe this is going on right in my backyard, right in New York, right in Lancaster. This is going on right here. Like, you guys do a really, really good job.
Thank you.
At especially on Instagram. Instagram, that's like your main. That's one of your main spots.
I have a good like Facebook following, but the way that the algorithm, like I'm trying to learn more about the algorithms and stuff and how they're spaced out. Facebook essentially is really good for like the people that are within your circle, within your area, similar likes and stuff. It's really hard with a Facebook profile to like get a large reach. It's really limited.
Yeah.
Instagram has a significantly larger reach.
Yeah.
TikTok, I feel like I'm at like that cusp where I'm like not. It's got its own vibe. It's very like it's very Gen Z. You know what I mean? There's a lot of like voiceovers and videos and stuff, and I haven't figured out how to master that.
Yeah.
Instagram is still
TikTok still stumps me too.
Yeah, and it's
like
hard.
I feel like such an old man when I get on TikTok. I tried to make a TikTok the other day, and I was like, "What button do I push next?" Like,
you know, the effects and
I mean, like. I know it's the wave of the future. We're all gonna have to like learn it.
Yeah.
But TikTok still trips me up.
Yeah. But so Instagram, I do a lot of my stuff, and I've recently like dove into doing more content as far as like stuff like this, like doing more video stuff.
Yeah.
Because it is the wave of the future as far like video is going to trump. I mean, with AI stuff, text is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're going to be forced to go into video because that's probably the one thing that it'll take AI a lot longer to catch up to video than it is for ChatGPT. Is already outwriting a lot of content writers out there. SEO, people can write SEO blogs in seconds.
Yeah.
And now they can do that over 1,000 times, and they know all the keywords. Like that stuff. I'm not saying it's going to be dead, but it's going to be controlled. So what can you control? This is what you can control because. I mean, you're a classic example of there's a lot easier products to go get a GNC right around the corner, or there's an Amazon, or there's whatever, Walmart.com to go get your supplements. But when there's a person and a voice behind the brand that people can get behind, you can persuade someone to use you versus using the easy alternative choice. Yeah. Man, it's so, everything that you're saying resonates with me so hard. Exactly why we do what we do here. Yeah. If you can't put a personality to it, like that's what we're gonna have to do. These big brands have what they do have over us is a lot more money. What they don't have is passion, right, and heart. And the CEO of GNC is probably not going to be getting his phone out anytime soon and go and make a goofy video of himself. Yeah. So you're doing all the right things, man. To grow this thing organically, obviously.
Well, I found I make fun of Gary Vee sometimes because like he's corny in a lot of stuff. Yes. Telling people to yard sale. I'm like, bro, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know about that. But I get where he's coming from. Like, if you're broke, there's ways to make money. Yeah. But one of the things that I remember, because I learned everything organically. Like I have no formal education. I know a decent amount about finance. I know a decent amount about businesses. I know a decent amount about investing, and products and marketing and branding and all this other graphic design. And like the one thing he said, when you are a brick and mortar, all right, now with what I do, the only way that I'm going to beat Amazon is through culture and a destination. So I have to make it that my store is so cool that like somebody's just like, dude, I want to go there. Like I just want to see it. Like I was going to buy for the Lancaster location. I contacted this company out of Long Island that does like statues. So I was going to get this Hulk statue. And like it's like, you know what I mean, the big David Banner Hulk statue, and I was gonna paint it to look like this character that my friend designed, and we were gonna put it outside so people could take pictures. But then I realized the ceilings were too low, and I'm like, how am I gonna get it in the building? It was like $9,000, and I was already like $70K in the hole for opening the store, and I'm just like, oh my god, like I can't do it. But those whole thought process, like we have like the pattern banner right in the store, and we have like these events and stuff because I'm like, if I'm gonna beat Amazon, I have to give people a dream to believe in and a destination to go to and a reason to go there.
Yeah.
If it's just price, you're done. If your only like competition is like the price, price nowadays, like you can't just beat people on price.
Yep.
You can,
Yeah.
but eventually that's a lose. It's a race to the bottom.
I was gonna say for a little while you can do
short
that.
term for about
Short
6
term.
months to a year.
Yep.
You can totally lower your prices and just knock people over them. And I'm doing that now. Like we're like as the economy shifted, like when prices went up, I kept mine lower. So like we would pull everybody from
some
the
customers
internet.
in, yeah.
And we did that all through COVID. Like I barely raised my prices at all.
Nice.
And I ate margin for about 2 years
Yeah.
because I collectively just kept grabbing customers while everybody else was raising theirs. I was like, we're just going to hold the line. And that's paying off in dividends now.
It's a risky move, though.
It's real risky,
That's a
especially
risky
opening
move.
up a new store
Yeah.
and not really raising my prices at all. It was a bold move, Cotton, and it played out pretty well for me.
Yeah.
In that sense, but I needed people to have a dream to believe in and a reason to go there. And the reason is like the dream and the culture. You know what I mean? Like this cool destination place where you can be like, oh, where do you shop?
Yeah.
Shop at House of Gaines.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, it just has that like good ring to it.
Dude, it's, man, you got the hairs on the back of my neck standing up. Whenever you say things about culture, I think it's something that's so important that like a lot of people, even myself, I didn't catch on to it until it was not that it was too late, but I took way too long to realize that culture is everything in a business. And if you have employees, you got to give them culture. You got to give them a reason to be there. You got to give them a place to go. And how do you, like, what are some of the things that you do that kind of build culture in your company?
So within my company, I try and make it as enjoyable of a place to work. I know for a fact that any of my employees could go work for a guy like you and probably triple their salary. You know what I mean? Now, granted, you'd have to go up on a roof.
Yeah, and you have to risk
Life and limb.
Risk life and limb.
You're carrying bundles bundles of shingles up a ladder that weigh 80 pounds a pop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It sucks.
Yeah, I would never do. Like I said, I'm big for nothing. Like construction work is not my bag. But I'm like, all right, well, I try and make it as fun as possible, as enjoyable. I don't really like. I don't micromanage. I don't believe in it and in what I do for a living. It's also retail. Micromanaging, like, you can really make a place shitty to work for really quickly. If you do the whole, like, you got time to lean, you got time to clean. Like, and I worked in the restaurant industry for years.
That's how
and
it
I
was.
had managers that always, like, if you, I tell my guys, I'm like, bro, like, you're 19 years old. Like, if you're on your phone, whatever, dude, I don't care.
Yeah.
As long as as a customer walks in the door, put your phone down.
Yep. Take care of the customer.
Yeah, don't be sitting down when they come in. Help them out. And as soon as they leave, as long as there's no trash on the floor, everything's blocked in face, bro, get back on TikTok. I don't care. Do me a favor, though. While you're on TikTok, go like all my videos.
Yeah,
Go comment underneath them to, like, all my guys, because I tell them, like,
Pump the algorithm.
Yeah, I'm like, go give me some likes. I would even have them.
Give it a like, a comment, and then share it to someone else.
Yeah, and, like, go on your account. Dude, I gave all my one employee full access to all my different Instagrams, because I have my the brand House of Gaines, I have the store, I have my smelling salt brand.
You got a smelling salt brand too.
Oh man, I should have brought some.
You should have brought them.
Son of a biscuit.
All of my guys who are going to watch this podcast, hopefully they hope this is going to be my test to see if my people actually watch this podcast, because I love smelling salts.
Do you really?
Just bought some the other day because I was like, I'd never tried them, and I hit it.
Woo! Yeah.
I felt like Ric Flair, baby.
Yeah.
I was like,
Ric Flair's like my idol. Like,
that's awesome. I didn't realize you had that.
Yeah,
I am going to order one from you, 100%.
I'm going to send a couple up here. I'll send a case for you up here for your guys, and you can take them out, and you can do funny videos for them.
Yeah.
You can get your guys. And that's the type of stuff that I like to do with my employees.
Yeah.
Like, dude, when we get samples in, I give them to my employees. I'm like, you try this. And they're like, oh, cool. Like, I get to try the cool new stuff.
Yeah.
And we make videos of each other. Like, I'm like, here, when we were testing a new smelling salt that I'll be launching towards the end of the year, it's strong, dude.
Yeah.
And I gave it to I was passing it around to my employees and videotaping each one of them.
Yeah.
And then we get to, like, kind of rib on each other, and, like, they're younger guys. Like, everybody that works for me is between the ages of, like, 18 and 25. And I have a lot of life experience that the average kid really doesn't, because of the things that I did in my life. And I get kind of like that big brother dad vibe. You know what I mean? Like, hey, like, I'm here. I'm a little bit older than you, so I have a lot of life experience, but we're also going to have fun while we do this. Because I'm like, if my employees don't enjoy where they work, they're just going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, of course.
Like
You're just going to be a stepping stone.
Yeah, and I know that I am for a lot of my guys. Like most of them are in college.
Yeah.
But as we grow and I'm able to create roles within my company that I can use the entry level position as a stepping stone for a larger position within my company, they still need to have like places to go. But I know that a lot of my guys, they're just there for, 6 months to a year.
Sure.
Because while they're in college or whatever.
Right. Once they graduate college, they're probably going to move somewhere else.
They're going to go do something else.
Yeah.
But I want them to enjoy it while they're here.
Yeah.
So I try and make it as like fun and exciting and as possible. And for the most part, man, like I don't hire that often. Like, and I hope I'm not jinxing myself with this, but
that's a good tell.
Yeah.
It's a good tell of your culture, man.
I almost never, I turn down 99% of people that apply for jobs. And it's not because like, I don't want them to work for me. I don't have positions for them. Yeah. Because like my guys don't leave, because they enjoy working there so much. Like, I mean, I would assume so because they're still there. Yeah. Like, I mean, and they're like, we could go somewhere else but we would also miss out on like the ride that like everything's on, like the momentum and all that stuff. And I have loyalty to that too. Yeah. You know what I mean? The guys that I'm like, I know that you're putting in work for me. You know what I mean? It's going to pay off at some point in time. Man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like pumped right now.
You'd be even more if I brought smelling salts. It'd be like that episode of Rogan where Theo Vaughn.
Where he just kept hitting it.
Yeah, dude, those are brutal.
I got something. I don't even know what it was. It was off it was some like cheap website. I don't know. It was probably kind of dicey. Yeah. Kind of dicey stuff I got. And like, I need to graduate. I need to get into something a little better. Yeah. There's
a lot of different brands. And they all have really edgy names. Like mine is called Sculf Smelling Salts. Yeah. I mean, there's.
It's that I saw the branding within Smelling Salts. I was like, they're cringy on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're cringy on purpose. They're just like, what's the most ridiculous stuff that we can throw out at you now?
Yeah, mine's like a skull with like smoke and a gold tooth.
Yeah.
And like a mustache with like skull written inside the mustache. And like, and that's like one of my favorite things about branding in the supplement space is it's so much fun.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you got to be loud. You got to be, you got to be different. You got to. You grab you don't have, there's so many options. You got to grab attention quick.
And there's creativity. Like I have so much creativity. Like if I was just doing like physical therapy or, website creation, like there's only so much you can do to make that fun. Yeah. Now I always think like, what would I do if I wasn't doing this? I would either have to do sales or some sort of like branding. Now that I realize how much I love it, I'd love to go into a company in like a couple of years when I'm like everything's running its own self. Yep. That I could go into a company and be like, hey, like, what are you guys struggling with? Branding.
All right, help them turn around.
Yeah, like let's make this like I would do like the bar rescue, but it's for like their social media accounts, like to make it fun.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, shout out if anybody wants to hire me.
You got John Tafford vibes.
Yeah.
Like you got that energy. Like I could see you coming in there and just tearing them up.
And that's the thing, like if you want to keep employees, if you want to keep customers, you got to give them something to believe in, and they're believing in you. Yeah. And if you don't believe in you, man, nobody's going to. So I wake up and I'm just like every day, how am I just going to nail it? Yeah. Like, and what am I going to do? And some days, like, nailing it is just answering the emails. Sure. You know what I mean? Some days nailing it is just a little tiny thing. Yeah. But those add up to, like, what's my end goal?
Yeah, it doesn't... Yeah, you don't have to do something groundbreaking, earth-shattering new thing every single day. I've fallen down that trap before, and it leads to burnout. And
it's exhausting.
If you focus your efforts on doing the right things consistently, putting out a video every single day, meeting a new gym owner, talking to a co-packer that that has more capacity or something those little things mean more in business than the grandiose things do. Yeah. Just it's all about that consistency. If there's one thing I could shout from rooftops to other business owners is is that exact thing.
Consistency.
The shiny thing we were just talking about earlier
Shiny
today.
syndrome.
The shiny thing syndrome is not is real, and you can dump a lot of resources into a bunch of stuff that's not going to work because it's just too large to take on. But those small, there's a great book out there called The Slight Edge that it focuses on this exact topic, and I would recommend anyone that listens to this read that book.
Yeah.
It's all about what you're just saying.
Well, people get into this realm of and I've fallen into that path myself, where I'm like, oh, I do this really well. Maybe I should start a consulting business.
Yeah.
Maybe I should start an online training company. Oh, maybe I should do this. And then all of a sudden I look on my GoDaddy thing and I have 9 URLs that I bought.
Me too.
And I'm just like, oh my God, what am I doing? I can't do this. And I'm like, what if I got into multifamily real estate? You know what I mean? What if I did this? And I'm I'm reading all these things and watching all these videos. And I'm like, hold on a second. And I've gotten really into Hormozy recently, and
I watch a lot of.
I love the guy, and he's also in my space.
Yeah.
So with the gym launch thing, and it's just one of the big things that I realized was I can't fall prey to shiny object syndrome. I'm really good at one thing, and it's working really, really well. And if I divert my attention, especially once we're not at a point where I have products in, I don't know, 30, 40 stores nationwide right now. I'm working on distribution in another country right now.
Nice.
Working on distribution here in the United States for my smelling salt line. And I'm my wheels are spinning, and they've been spinning for a while.
Yeah.
And they're starting to touch the ground. I got this V8 engine, it's bouncing off the ground, and I'm if I just put some weight in the back and let it go, it'll actually poof, actually get there. But I can't do that if I keep taking weight out.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So I just got to keep putting everything in the back of the car and let that rear wheel drive hit, so I can actually get to where I want to go. Because when people start, you start making money, you start getting clout and all this other stuff, you're like, well, what else could I do? And I'm like, the one thing you could do is stop doing other things.
Yeah.
Like with you guys, you could very easily get into flipping houses and you know what I mean, doing these types of roof, and you're like, well, if I don't know too much about the types of roofs that you guys do, because that's not my industry,
right?
But if you're really good at one and you know how to shape the margins, it's just do that.
That's exactly.
And do really good at that.
Yep. Oh yeah, we've done it in the past. We tried to do attic insulation because we were like, that's a good value-added service to roofing.
Yeah.
I'm
already on the roof. I might as well get in the attic.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Well, if I'm in the attic, I might as well do the kitchen. And you're like, bro, what are you doing? Just
exactly.
do roofs.
And then you get those calls, and someone says, hey, I wonder if you can do this thing. It's slightly outside of what your realm is, and you're like, you have that little voice in the back of your head, margin. You might be able to make some margin on it.
Yeah.
You have no idea what the hell you're doing, but you might be able to get a little margin on it.
You figure it out when you get in there.
Yeah, you can figure it out when you're there, and you never do.
Yeah.
Right? You end up biting off more than you can chew. Now you've lost money, and you look like an idiot, and you broke a promise to a customer. Yep. That's the worst of the worst.
And 2 weeks of your life.
Yeah.
Trying to fix a problem that you didn't know how to fix. But you were like, I could probably figure that out. And you probably could.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And I paid a lot of dummy tax. A lot of dummy tax.
Dummy
stuff.
tax.
That's what we call it, the dummy tax.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna go through it. It's part of finding your beacon. You know what I mean? Finding you got to remind yourself to stay on the damn path sometimes by doing something really stupid.
Yeah, and it's it's part of finding your niche. It's part of it's the dummy tax is really true, because you're like, all right, well, I could do this, and then you find out that it cost you money, and worse is the time.
Yeah.
Because it took away from the things that, if that 2 weeks that you spent trying to do attic insulation or whatever, you looked dumb, you lost money, and you lost 2 weeks worth of grind time that you could have landed 3 new roofing contracts.
Yep.
You could have landed, you know what I mean? You
could have found an HOA, could have found a big maintenance program on a commercial building somewhere. Yeah, it's
right.
Stick the riches are in the niches, they say.
Yep.
Yeah, so you find what your niche is, and you stick with it, because Apple does, well, for the longest time they did one thing really well, right? They just did computers, and then they found, I guess they did kind of open themselves up to a couple different things. Maybe that's not the best analogy, but
they're still really honed to just two real things. They do phones and computers.
But you're right, they they have a couple other products, and they kind of kick them around, you know. But they're making money hand over fist selling their computers. I got one. You probably got one. We all got one. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's so. What was there was something I wanted to ask you. What was it like? So like you're in the food service industry kind of now in a way.
No,
like,
I sell. We have agricultural licenses through the Department of the Department of Agriculture. We have food and beverage license.
Not my space, so I don't know what goes into it.
Yeah, so
but
if you
like,
make,
what was that like to like have to learn all that kind of stuff? Because that's a lot to learn in itself. That's like
that was definitely. So when we'll go back again. So when I was at that gym, the gym, I tried to buy it. I had a guy who had he just sold his car dealerships to a big dealership in the area, and he was like, "I got all this money, and you seem like you've been trying to like do some stuff here." I was trying to like renovate the gym and do all this stuff, and he was like, "Do you want to just like partner in and buy this?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then that kind of fell through. The owner wanted too much money. I'm really glad that it didn't work out. They got bought out right before COVID by the hotel and resort across the street.
Oh, lucky for them.
Right? Like, so they bought the business out. They bought the building. They tried to recruit me as a trainer. But the owners that got the place that bought the resort across the street, because there was a gym there, and they were basically just going to merge everything over there and turn that place into like a bouncy house or something like that. They weren't from my industry, and they didn't really know how like commission structures are supposed to be done. Like, I didn't want to go. They couldn't tell. They were like, "Oh, well, you can just keep working for yourself." Yeah. And I'm like, "Yeah," and then they were telling me I had to be an employee, but now you're 1099. But now all of our people come through. All of your clients now pay the gym, and then we'll pay you a commission, which is how most places do it.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, but I've been like independent for like 4 or 5 years now. I'm not going back to that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what? Never mind. So I moved all my clients to a private gym, and not too far away. And I was just like, you know what? This is the time that I'm going to launch the store. I was actually trying to partner with a retail store that was in my area, but me and one of the guys who was on like the management team there did not get along. And he kind of soured the deal, and it was probably the most fortunate thing. Shout out, dude. Because he didn't like me, because I'm not like, I guess because I didn't like feed his ego. My industry's full of ego.
I'm sure.
And because I didn't feed his ego, he didn't like me and basically soured the deal because I didn't want to do retail.
Yeah.
The entirety, I was like, I just want to make my products, have my website, and wholesale to other stores.
Do you do any retail right now?
Yeah, I have my 2 stores, and then I sell.
As far as like for other stores, you do.
Yeah, like
you do retail?
yeah. So I sell my products to other stores now.
Okay.
I think we're in like 35 or 40 locations nationwide, and so, but I didn't want to open up my own store because I've never worked a retail job. When I was in high school, I did maintenance for like my school district. I got a job as a caterer, bartending, waiting tables. I worked at Stouffer Cookie Factory for like 9 months. And I think I worked at Penn Waste for like 3 weeks. Like I never worked in retail. So and I have no idea how to do it. But when I realized the gym that I was at was going to close, the deal soured like right at that same time, I was like, let's just do it. So I started looking at like retail space, and it's expensive. You know? And especially when you don't have money and you're signing, you know what I mean, a 3-5 year contract.
Triple net leases.
Triple net leases. I'm like, oh God. Like, I'm like, wait, I have to pay that much money, and like, what if I don't make it? So I found a computer repair store. Somehow that still exists. That was basically trying to sublet their lease. And I contacted the owner. I actually like snuck in like as a customer to try and look at the inside of the space and talk to the employee and stuff like that. And I did feel bad about that because I lied to the guy because I was just scoping out the inside of the space. But basically, I contacted the owner of the store, bought out his lease for an agreed upon price, which was like 9 months left. He just wanted out. He was like, I will leave everything in this. You pay me like whatever percentage we agree upon. And then it gave me that. So that's how I started everything. He left like his old Radio Shack shelves that he had bought out when they went out of business.
What a huge help.
Right, dude. I filled it with all the product that I had.
Yeah.
And a couple other brands that kind of gave me some cool deals to get started. And we didn't get, I had done all the plumbing to set up like the smoothie bar, but because I didn't have much time to prep that, I also had my dog with me for the first like couple months because he was really, really sick at the time. And I was like, once I have the food and beverage license, I can't have a dog in here. So I delayed that a little while anyway. Because I had bartended for so many years, I needed again to figure out a way to get customers in the store. Well, people like smoothies. So I was just like, I can make good recipes because I bartended for like 8 years.
Yeah.
So I was like, I know how to make drinks taste good. And then I just have to add protein to it. That's not hard.
Yeah.
So I came up with all these different recipes. And then my friends, one of my clients is like one of the, basically like the right-hand woman of Rob Burritos. So
nice.
Yeah. So like my friend came over and like walked me through the entire inspection process.
Yeah.
You need these 3 bay sinks. You need the fridges at this temp. You need the sanitizer buckets here. They need to be labeled like this. Like she walked me through like the whole, and I had a good understanding because of working in the restaurant industry,
Right.
but I was like, I've never been on the actual, like, you know what I mean?
Like the management side of that.
The management
of
and
that
licensing side.
Yeah.
And then we came up with recipes and like, dude, we wrote them on like a chalkboard, and I bought some cups and blenders and stuff like that. And then it just sort of progressed. And then once we, moved through that. Obviously, I made a bunch of terrible shakes for a while until I figured out like Jive. And when we opened our Lancaster location, that was like York. We just finished remodeling York, and we're coming up on 3-4 years in that.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 years in that location now. And now it's all like completely remodeled. But when we did Lancaster, I was just like, all right, this plaza has a lot of foot traffic. The gym in that area has a lot of foot traffic. So I was like, smoothies are going to be a big game for me. And we actually like, so my whole thing, I'm in the process of like trying to get that side of my company going. We want to make powdered, like take home smoothie recipes.
Oh, nice.
So like you have people buy protein and then they'll buy mixes and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to create like an entire thing, and we're going to call it Smoothie Lord.
Oh, I love
it. So I'm Lord of the Gains on Instagram.
Yeah.
There's Smoothie King, and I was like, we'll call it Smoothie Lord. And we have like this like corny Gaston Hulk hybrid.
Yeah.
That like he's got like it's a whole branding thing that we're working on right now.
I love it.
But that's I was like, this is a way that I can get people in, because if I can get people in on the shakes, now they're here. I'm already here. I came over to just grab a shake. I might as well just grab my pre-workout while I'm here.
Yep.
So it's kind of like I get them with the shiny object.
Yeah.
And I don't mean get them. You know what I mean? I provided them a product that they're paying willingly for. I'm not like, ha ha ha, like come here, give me your wallet. Yeah. Like, no, like I bring them in with the shakes, and then they're already here. So why would I go on Amazon? It's right here in front of me. I might as well just purchase it right now.
Absolutely.
So I got into that. And that's what we've really been trying to grow. I'm not into the food thing. I work with some meal prep companies in the area.
Nice.
Clean Plate Nutrition out of York.
Yeah.
They're actually going to be putting something up here in Mechanicsburg.
Are they really
soon? Yeah.
Nice.
I'll have to get the address. I'm not really from the area. Up
Yeah,
here,
I was just in my head was kind of thinking about. I had a lady named Linda on last week, and she does meal prep, and I was like, man, you guys, like, this would be a great business relationship, I think, between someone like you and someone like them, to work on local healthy meals for people and like partner up together kind of thing.
Yeah, and I'm of the belief that there is enough out there. There's enough money for everybody to eat.
Oh,
there's enough customers for everyone to eat.
Absolutely.
And I don't really have to like there's GNC's, there's Vitamin Shop right around the corner from here. Like, I mean, if I can push a corporate guy out and prop a local guy up, awesome. You know what I mean? But I try and work with everybody, all the gyms in the area, all the meal prep people, like, you know what I mean? I got my relationships that I really value.
Yeah.
And that like I have more footing in, but like, I mean, when we had our big event out in Lancaster, like I invited anybody that wanted to put up a table. I was like, just come out, bro. They're like, can we sell while we're here? I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Yep.
I'm like, make your money. You're here.
Yeah.
Do exactly what I did 5 years ago. And here's your table, bro.
Yeah.
Get like hustle, man. Get these people to buy your stuff.
Well, and that's, dude, camaraderie goes, or what's the saying? You catch way more bees with honey than you do vinegar, right? So if there's another local business that's doing exactly what you're doing, right? Another supplement company or someone else that's kind of slightly competes with you, right? Like the GNCs, they big corporate conglomerate thing, but I mean, if they're there, then there's more people knowing about supplements that are then possibly being like, oh, I don't really like this GNC one much. Let me see what else is out there. Now they find you, right? So all business is good business. Competition is good, and there's enough for, like you said, there's enough for all of us out there, right?
There's enough dollar bills out there for.
That's why that's why we got to stop racing people to the bottom, right? Because people think that the cheapest one is going to win. Well, the cheapest one will win for a little bit until it puts you under.
Yep.
Because if you're trying to get more customers, you're going to have to raise your prices. You can't sustain that. It's
you have to be able to provide quality.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
And that's one thing
Something's
I
gonna
learned.
go down.
I was like, I mean, I could cheap out on. I spent a lot of money remodeling my York location and a lot on Lancaster. And when I do my next store, it's going to be expensive. But I was like, I want to provide an experience. I want to provide quality. You know what I mean, to people, and you can't do that when you're always trying to, cut the margins in half and not reinvest. And that's when people come in, they're like, wow, you guys are really putting more into this. And I'm like, if you keep shopping, I'll keep putting it in, man.
That's right.
I'll do everything I can to squeeze this lemon for everything it's got.
That's right. People look at DreamWorks a lot of times and say that we're the most expensive company out there, and they make fun of us about how the videos we make and the prices we charge. But, just like you said, when you walked in here, I want every person to feel when they work for us that they are part of a company and not, they don't have a job.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want you to feel like you have a job. Who sees roofing as a career? Or who sees supplement sales as a career?
Right.
They could if we just put our right foot forward, reinvest into making our company better, making our employees paid better, getting our employees healthier, getting our employees on board with something larger than themselves. That's where those extra overhead dollars go to.
And that's exactly right. And when the COVID thing happened, it changed that for a lot of people. And the companies that didn't navigate with the times, the smaller guys are at the best competitive advantage because we can pivot faster than anybody.
That's right.
And when that happened, and I mean, I had to change things within my own company structure without even knowing what the hell a company structure was. I still to this day, I'm like, I don't really know what I do here. But I'm just like, you know what? Like, if a lot of people realized you can work yourself to death for a company that doesn't give a damn about you.
Yeah.
But then at the end of your life, you know what I mean? Because life is very, very short. Will you be able to say that it was worth it? You know what I mean? And you can make money doing all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, but is it something you believe in?
Right.
And if it's just a roofing company, not to us.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Not to DreamWorks. We've got the branding, we've got the videos, we've got the fun. You know what I mean? We've got the company structure, the culture within it, because we want people to know that when you come work for us, when you come work for me, you're not just a number on a piece of paper. You're not just like a piece of payroll. That's right. You're a person that works for us, and as we grow, you will too. Yep. And we'll try and keep providing. And that's the one thing I've noticed, with all my friends, that, I mean, you had the Great Resignation, and I watched people take jobs that paid 20% less because they were like, I don't want to work and do this job anymore. I mean, teaching is a perfect example of that. People are just like, you know what? I mean, my wife's a teacher. That's how I know. But people are looking at it and they're just like, wow, this is a really terrible job. Yeah. And I mean, you saw it with police officers, you saw it with teachers, you see it with factory workers and stuff like that, fast food employees. Yep. I'm happy to watch that industry die on its face. But if you have people that they're standing behind a fryer all the time cooking this poison for people,
getting a whip cracked on them, right? With that old, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean.
You know what I mean? Get that fryer clean. Right. And you're just like, bro, this place sucks. Yeah, right. Not only does it suck, this food sucks.
I would rather make 20% less, but be 20% happier.
Yeah,
right.
And that's the thing. If you provide something that is of value to people, people now value. Right. They actually have a thought process. Is this, do I identify with this company's values? Yeah. You're seeing that tremendously with the landscape and marketing now, where people are canceling brands, people are canceling companies that they've been standing behind their entire lives because they came out and said something that they don't believe in. Yeah. And you're watching this culture war go on too. And I'm just like, wild. It's wild, bro. But people now are in a position where, and this is getting philosophical, but because religion has largely left the culture, and community centers have largely left the culture, we've become incredibly connected, but very isolated at the same time. Yeah. People spend a third of their life sleeping, a third of their life at work. So that third of their life, they want it to be worthwhile. They want to have community, and they want to have something to believe in.
That's right.
So you almost have to create, I don't want to say create your work like a religion, but you have to give those same attributes. Sure. There has to be something that they can enjoy, where they have fun, where they have like something to look up to, somebody to look up to, something to look forward to.
Right.
And I tell people, like, if you're not happy where you're at, just leave.
Right.
You'll find something else.
It's not worth it.
Nah.
Not worth it to waste. You don't get that time back. It ain't worth it to waste it.
Yeah.
Man. Well, this is exactly the conversation that we had here today, man, is the point of this whole podcast. It's the point here is there's a lot of really easy choices to make when it comes to like buying a product. Mm-hmm. You can go to Amazon, you can find supplements, you can go to Target or Walmart and find supplements. But when you spend your money local, this is what you're helping, right? You're helping someone like you who's helping your community, who's helping the people around you, providing a great place for people to work, providing great products to local people. This is what it's all about, man. And I think you're a perfect embodiment of what a local business what good can come from when you spend your dollars with a local business. So, man, I encourage everybody to check Matt out, check House of Gains out. Every company that we've had on here, like the ramifications of using a local business is so big, and it's massive. Up to the point or in an earlier episode, I wrote, or I talked about how we could pump about $500 million back into our local economy. Easily. Simply by just taking $50 a month and transferring that spending to a local company. Mm-hmm. So, I'm sorry. I'm kind of trying to wrap it up a little bit because I got an appointment, and I'm like, dude, I could sit here and talk to you
for hours,
like literally forever.
Yeah.
Like, can we do a part 2? Can I come to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to come to you, and I want to go see your York or your Lancaster store.
Yeah. And
I want to continue the conversation. Yeah,
that would be great. I always to play off of one thing before we wrap it up.
Sure.
Amazon will never sponsor your kid's baseball team. That's never going to happen. Jeff Bezos doesn't care.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's a nice guy if you ever meet him.
Sure.
I don't like talking bad on people just because they're rich or successful. I think it's ridiculous, because if it was you wouldn't want anybody to talk bad about you.
Right.
So I always try and put myself in their shoes. But in that sense of when a company is owned by somebody in your area, they will then use that money to reinvest in your area.
Yeah.
And then when you have nothing but McDonald's, nothing but Wendy's, nothing but Walmart's, nothing but Target's, every dollar you spend goes somewhere else. It goes to Bentonville, Arkansas.
Yep.
It goes to
Seattle.
It goes to Seattle. It goes over here. And it doesn't even go in there. It goes into offshore accounts, and different avenues and stuff, hedge funds and things like that.
Yeah.
When you buy it from people that are in your area, that person is then going to build another location. Then they're going to hire more people. Then they're going to pay their people more. Then those people are going to buy houses. Then they're going to they're going to start a business. And then they're going to sponsor the kids' baseball team. Then they're going to go here and be like, hey, this park is kind of dumpy. Let's have I have a buddy that owns a barber shop in downtown York, and he does clean up the streets all the time. They go out and they'll get like 20 of their customers and friends and stuff like that, and they go out and they just pick up trash on the street. That's awesome. There's guys in York right now that are going to build this big sports complex, and they're like, yeah, we just want the money that we have, like we might as well build a location here in the area, because if we don't do it, another company's going to.
Right.
And I'm just like, that's a good point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you send it over to like Walmart or GNC or something like that, that money goes into a corporate entity somewhere else.
Never to be seen again.
It's never going to be
never
seen
going to come
again.
back. Never going to come back to here, at least.
No.
Yeah.
They're just pointing out there's portions of this country where if you go to like certain cities, within the limits of those townships, they won't even allow franchises.
Yeah.
They won't even allow corporate stores. It's only local businesses, and they do that. And I've been to those areas of the country, and you're like, oh my God, this place is really nice.
Yeah.
The streets are really clean.
Yeah.
The people are really happy.
Amazing.
Everybody seems to have more money.
It's amazing.
You're like, wait a second, how does everybody have more money? Well, it's because the rag isn't being squeezed.
That's right.
Like they're not squeezing the sponge out. They're just literally filling the sponge with more water. And then you got this big juicy sponge that's central Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And that's what I would like to see happen in this area.
Let's make it happen.
We're going to make it happen.
That's what I'm here to do, man. I'm here to spread that word. I'll shout it from the rooftops.
Yeah.
And let's make it happen. One podcast, one bottle of supplements at a time.
That's the way it works.
Let's do it. All right, so let's wrap it up. give us your name again. Where can people find you online in your stores? Give us another quick little recap on you.
So you can go to houseofgains.com if you want to purchase any dietary supplements, sports nutrition, things like that. You can find us at official House of Gains or House of Gains _York, House of Gains _Lancaster. Those are our Instagram handles. You can reach out to any one of those. If you go into any of my stores, none of my employees are commission based, so they're never going to try and sell you on a product you don't need.
Nice.
Literally, if you just put in Google House of Gains, my picture's going to come up.
You're going to find you.
Yep, you're going to be able to find me. You're going to be able to find one of my employees. And ask any one of us. We're like our own little community. We're all in it. They're like the Three Musketeers. We're all for one, one for all kind of thing. Yeah.
Right on, man. Well, I'll have all of your socials linked down below. This has been Matt. This has been one of my favorite episodes that we've done so far, man. Looking forward to a part 2.
Part 2 is going to be phenomenal.
All right, brother.